Full screen. Full screen.
Hello Bandicooters, welcome to another video courtesy of Mr. Keith Webb and I'm JMac.
Keith Webb.
We thought we what are you, a Pokemon?
Keep.
We thought we'd just start this video by showing you something pretty damn cool that we've just been sent. Through the videos we've been making, we got in touch with a Bandicoot fan from the USA. He works at a vinyl pressing plant, and purely as a personal project, he's been making unofficial vinyl copies of the Crash Twinsanity soundtrack, and he sent them over to us. Well, he sent some over to us, so if I just hold this up, he's commissioned a pretty damn snazzy version of the classic cover art. If we flip this round, we can see some other cool stuff as well, and yeah, so here we have an actual limited edition vinyl of the classic Spiral Mouth soundtrack that we all know and love.
Could I listen to it? How does it work?
You're going to have to get your needle out, I'm afraid.
Spin around like that.
So we thought we'd just show it off because we think it's pretty damn awesome and pretty damn cool.
Yeah,
look at that,
impressive.
two sides. I don't think you can quite see it, but it's even got an animation of Crash and Cortex.
We'll have it rolling across the screen now.
If you played it in a record player, you'd be able to see them going, like, what's it called?
Zoetrope.
Anyway, so thank you to our mate in the USA. We'll be getting in touch with him if we ever manage to figure out who's got the rights to the soundtrack. Yeah.
Can you do a rendition, an a cappella rendition of it now?
No. Mate, we're going to lose subscribers if we do continue this anymore. Anyway, let's get on to the video that we plan to make.
Yeah, so keep watching because here is the actual video now. Hello Crash fans, welcome to a brand new video from the Twinsanity archives.
My name's JMac.
And I'm Keith Webb.
We are Crash Twinsanity developers.
We were Crash Twinsanity developers. No, we're not anymore. We were, yeah.
We were. Maybe sometimes we wish we still were.
Yeah.
But anyway,
every day.
The game we're talking about today is Crash Twinsanity. No funny jokes, I'm afraid. I think that time has passed.
Yeah, we ran out of ideas for that.
So Keith,
yeah,
you've been thinking about things we can talk about. What have you got on the menu today?
So I think on the menu today, let's talk a little bit about the Mecha-Bandicoot. Let's see if we can solve any mysteries of the Mecha-Bandicoot. So
you've been looking back through the archives, haven't you?
So
because we can't remember where it came from.
Yeah, so the birth of the Mecha-Bandicoot. So in some, and I know we've kind of mentioned this before, but in the previous, before Twinsanity, the kind of the space-themed evolution idea, the talk of a mechanical Bandicoot actually crops up in that.
We found this document.
Yeah, we found a document. So this is February 2002, and there's a mention of a giant mechanical Bandicoot. This sounds like it's just from an intro sequence before the islands get ripped apart by the twins, but he's mentioned here, and he's mentioned in the next couple of quick documents as well.
Let's just slowly scroll through this.
Yeah, let's have a look at him. So
we don't know who wrote this.
No.
I can have a guess, but I'm not going to. Okay. Right, so we've also got. We found this. What's happening here?
So Crash and Cortex at
giant
home.
Mechanical Bandicoot.
Yeah,
a chase level. Crash freeing from the giant mechanical Bandicoot. Yeah. That's not how it ended up at all, is it?
No, not at all. And again, this isn't in the Dimension Twinsanity version. This is prior to that. This is about a whole year.
This was about when I started.
Yeah.
And it's about a year before you started, wasn't it?
Right,
you started working at Trevor's Tales.
So there we go. And there's a nice. So he's in the centre there, Mechanical Bandicoot powered by Crystal. Then so again, February 2002. Then I think there's no mention of him for about a whole another year. A year goes by and he's never really mentioned at all. And then around the start of 2003, when we're then going into the Twinsanity Dimension idea, then this pops up, and we think Dan Tonkin, the lead artist, would have done some concept work here for the Mecha-Bandicoot. Quite recognisable. Yeah, he's pretty much as he appears in the final game. Maybe a few little changes, but he's quite obviously recognisable.
Maybe we should have shown them what he looks like in the final game, just in case people don't know.
There he is. Yeah.
here we have a nice rendering of how he ended up looking.
Yeah, cool.
Should we speak about the next thing we
So
found? This is pretty interesting. I'd never seen this before, or at least I can't remember.
So we don't know if this is a precursor, because it looks close, similarly in design to the Mecha-Bandicoot, maybe a precursor to it, or it could have been something that was done well after for another Cortex pitch later. But I'm just putting in here because we'll have to do a bit more research if this was a initial sketch that then morphed into the Mecha-Bandicoot.
We can't really even call this Mecha-Bandicoot, can we?
No.
Because there's nothing Bandicooty about it.
I know in Wrath of Cortex there was something called a mech suit, and I doubt this has anything to do with that at all, but just an interesting connection.
What I do know is we had lots of people working at Traveller's Tales Oxford who thought big mechs were cool.
Right.
And so it kind of stands to reason why one ended up in the game.
Okay.
What are we looking at next?
So next we're looking at, and I mentioned this in the previous video, the original split between the Cortex fight and the Mecha-Bandicoot fight. They weren't necessarily in the same place at the same point. So it looks like very early on, you get your Cortex boss fight roughly where he would have been in the final game. Mecha-Bandicoot is there where the Tiki God fight was. There. So I think there was some point where they were separated out.
They were going to be separate.
Do you remember
and
that?
And then, well, this is something I can't remember because I remember working on the Cortex boss fight first for the E3 demo.
Right.
And originally we released the E3 demo, obviously at the E3 show, and you could only fight Cortex, and then you got a reveal of the Mecha-Bandicoot appearing after you defeated Cortex.
Okay.
And perhaps that was our attempt to get people excited enough about it that they're gonna buy the full game.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember. I remember it all being one, and it was only recently when we've been looking at this that it's come back to me that they were separate.
Okay,
Something interesting. Interesting aside. One of the top Crash Bandicoot fans, surely in the world, this dude JeraCyclo Gaming, he edited the E3 demo along with my music that I made, which was long deleted before even the E3 demo. He's edited all that back together, and so I was watching this. This is what happened at the end of the demo. You'd see Cortex. He would, I don't know if you can even hear this, but
twin brother Mecha-Bandicoot.
he appears and then it fades to black. And what you might notice, I'd completely forgotten about this. Let me see if I can get to a good frame. What's this? He's got a slightly different left arm, which is different from what appeared in the final game. And what happened with this was, this left arm here is something that I made because I really wanted him to fire more stuff out of his arm than just the missiles. And the original arm and what we went back to, it just had kind of like a missile launcher on it. And I quite cheekily made that change without clearing it with Dan Tonkin, the lead artist. And as soon as he saw it, he basically said, change it back, JMac. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I changed it back because obviously Dan's art, I messed with it without telling him, and he was quite right to to kick my ass and get it to go back.
So this
but anyway, I'd forgotten about this, and
the E3.
So yeah, this is appearing in the E3 demo. If I zoom ahead, we're back to how it looked in the final game. You can see here we're back to a little double missile launcher.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting because if that had gone in, I could have possibly said that I was a character artist on the game, which obviously I wasn't.
But you say you're a texture artist, though. Why'd you say that?
Well, this was in the long history of me attempting to squeeze as much stuff as possible into the game that was made by me. If we wait for Cortex to throw some of his bombs around. Come on, throw us a bomb. Throw us a bomb, Cortex. Throw us a bomb. Here we go. So, okay, if I pause it at just the right place. No. Okay, here we go. If we look closely at that bomb, we'll see it doesn't look as well built as all the other bombs in the first level of the game. And the reason for that is this was me attempting to do a bit of 3D modelling and a bit of texturing.
Right.
And the plan was, at some point, we would replace this bomb with the final bomb in the game.
Yeah.
And no one ever got round to doing it.
Okay.
So, so my shoddy bit of texturing ended up in the final game.
Right.
And hopefully the public were none the wiser.
The symbol of the skull and crossbones quotes, did you come up with that yourself? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
Okay, because I think we'll show on screen, there might be a bit of concept art which might have that on, I can't remember, but we'll have we'll see if we
It's
can show
quite
on screen.
possible that I
that's
copied it from somewhere.
Cool, that's good though.
Interestingly enough, to me at least, I also made the background for this, and the plan was, usually what I'd do, I'd get a prototype up and running in the game, prove that everything works, that it's playable, that it's fun, and then one of the proper artists would come in and fix it all up. And for some reason that didn't happen. I think we were probably running out of time at this point, but a lot of this is still my art that I originally had in the prototype. And I remember Dan came in, he added these spiky bits around the edge, and he put spiky bits in the base, but this kind of low polygon plinth in the middle, that's still what I made. So yeah.
Cool. How did you go about designing the actual fight itself, in terms of the mechanics?
I can't remember.
No.
I think it was just a lot of the boss fights in the original Crash Bandicoot game, you'd have like a circular arena, quite often with the boss in the centre, and you'd run around him. So it was just trying that, and then a bit of trial and error. I think there's the legend of the Cortex hoverboard, which was at one point a playable bit of gameplay. We had the hoverboard, we had the Cortex model, he had a gun in his hand. I think I just kind of did the best I could with what we had available, and eventually we ended up, after the E3 demo, we completed the completed the boss fight, got some animations done from the animators. He's shooting missiles, he's chainsawing. One thing I was going to mention, I would just like to take this opportunity to apologise to Crash Bandicoot fans the world over. This really shoddy, this bit of the background that falls down to create a staircase that Crash climbs up, that was always supposed to be replaced with something better, but as you can see in the final version of the game, my shoddy artwork was still in place, and it never got any better. This is the bit that it breaks off. It was supposed to be turned into some sort of, I don't know what we do, like some statue or something that just happened to be shaped like a staircase, but never got done. So
what about this sneezing bit?
The sneezing, so you shoot him for a bit. Look, interestingly enough, he can shoot Cortex out of midair if you get the timing just right. So once you've dodged his missiles for a bit, he'll charge up his nose gun, which Crash will then spin back at him, just like you did with Cortex's bolts. Towards the end of the fight, he'll do it 3 times, and then you'll notice the very final time he does it, he does a really big inhale before firing out the laser bolt. And I remember going back to Simon, our animator, saying, right, can you just do me one final animation? I want him to inhale very, very dramatically before he fires the last bolt out. And then Simon did the animation, he gave it back to me, and I was like, Si, please, I want it more. I want it more ridiculous. And then he'd make it more ridiculous. And then I think I sent it back to him again. I was like, no, we really want it as ridiculous as possible. So So the final that's not even the final animation. I need to position this a bit better. Here we go. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. I remember it being, a bit more ridiculous that. But anyway, you've beaten him.
Yep.
He stomps.
And he falls down below.
Who knew it?
There we
it
go.
takes place. I don't know. Why the hell does Cortex
So,
blow up there?
yeah, 'cause
did anyone figure that out?
Yeah, I think because originally, so here we go. Yeah, when they were separate, because I've got some storyboards with just Cortex in the cavern. No, Mecha-Bandicoot. So obviously that was supposed to be the end of Cortex fight to get them all into the cavern. So yeah, so we just needed a way of organically getting him to fall into the hole.
Sometimes you've just got to get the game moving.
Yeah.
With as little work as possible, and why not just have Cortex suddenly blow up and fall down the hole?
That's right, and also because you got time constraints because everyone's hungry. What they're hungry for, John? They're hungry for.
So Keith, whose idea was it to make Mecha-Bandicoot playable?
So I think I can't remember. I wonder if it was even Universal who said they wanted to introduce him, use him as a playable character. So. He was just shoehorned into the very final boss fight, so we got him here. I think he's just playable for maybe like 10 seconds.
Talking about shoehorning things in,
okay.
Surely Keith, you've noticed, where's his weapons in the cutscene?
Wow.
He hasn't got any weapons.
Okay.
Would you like to know why that is? It's because when we make cutscenes, we're using the same in-game scripting system.
Right.
Obviously, whoever made this cutscene was doing it as quickly as possible because deadlines were looming. But when he spawned into the game as a boss fight, the first thing the script does in the boss fight, it creates the weapons and attaches them onto the arms. And unless you want to completely redo that bit of scripting code to attach them on, you're just going to see the Mecha-Bandicoot model in its, what should we say, native state.
Sure.
So it was just one of those things, in order to get the weapons appearing on here, someone was going to have to recreate all the scripting that was done for the boss fight, and they never got around to doing it. So that's why when you see him in the cutscene, you don't get the weapons. But obviously when you see him as a playable character, someone did put the effort in to get the weapons spawning. So this is why you see them during gameplay.
But so I think it was just like an afterthought. How do we get him back into the game in a playable state? So here he was in the final boss fight. You might wonder how on earth did he get from the cavern into the second dimension? Why did he just suddenly appear? And I think we had a plan for that. There was a cutscene dialogue, a cutscene was spliced together, which we'll play here.
Our magic is no match for the twins' power.
What we need is a little brute force. Mecha-Bandicoot is equipped with an electronic brain, programmed with Crash's own cerebral patterns.
Are you sure that was wise?
Let's bring him home. Engage autopilot! What's the worst that can happen?
Right, so there you would see him kind of emerging out of the native village. His scale looks maybe a little bit off there. He's slightly bigger than he.
It's massively off.
Yeah. So, but that's just artistic license. But yeah, so and then after this,
that's some Gulliver Travels business.
Maybe it's just perspective, John. Just perspective. He's close to the camera than the other.
Where's his missile launcher hand gone? Actually, Keith, here's an interesting fact.
Right.
I believe that originally he had a drill on his hand.
Okay.
And when I was making the boss fight, I asked if it could be changed to a chainsaw, because if you imagine you're trying to animate someone attacking Crash with a drill, he's going to be like stabbing. Whereas if you've got a chainsaw, he can slice and then he can dice side to side. So I think this was a...
Yeah, so I must have drawn this.
That was probably the original style.
I probably drew it based on the original model or something like that. But yeah, so anyway, so he comes out of the village, and then when we're talking about incorporating other ways of getting him in as a playable character, because I think he had Crash's skeleton, is that right? Am I wrong with that? You know, so it'd be easy to animate. I don't know. We'll have to do some.
No, he wouldn't have
research.
had Crash's skeleton.
But there was a level idea drafted up, and this was originally the level we mentioned before, Ocean Commotion. This had the same name, Ocean Commotion, for a while.
Did it?
Because it was Crash, Mecha-Bandicoot flying across the ocean, destroying a load of what I think Paul termed as vice versa reverser devices. These were.
Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So he's flying
I've never
over.
seen this before.
Yeah, so he's flying over the ocean, destroying these, which are supposed to be sucking out the goodness from one dimension, depositing it into the other, or something along those lines. So yeah, so he's flying across the ocean, speeds over there.
That looks quite fun to me.
Yeah, so it's like a Space Harrier kind of thing, I think. You know, that's just in my mind.
Just one of those. What are these massive crates all about?
So they're continued crates, checkpoint crates, but they're 4 together because he's so big. Obviously, one smaller crate wouldn't work, so 4 bunched together.
Here we see the
twin logo there.
The twin logo.
Skipping ahead to the next piece of concept art. So here we see him, basically with his missiles. He's got kind of missile launchers there, destroying all the vice versa reverser devices. So yeah, so it looks like at the top we might have rechanged it to Mecha-Madness. So that's what
Mecha-Madness.
Mecha-Madness. So
what does GPA stand for, Keith?
Gameplay Area.
Wrong. It's Gameplay Arena.
Really?
Yeah, that was Dave Robinson brought that concept. We were designing levels based around the idea of gameplay arenas, which was a certain area.
So you see then that crop up in all the.
I've got a question for you, Keith. Insanity Island, LOD or Plane?
So LOD would be the level of detail. So obviously you wouldn't render it fully detailed. You just kind of do a much more like a lower res version of it for the background. A plane, I guess, would just be a flat piece of artwork, maybe a render of the actual island in the background, so that again you wouldn't have to build the whole island. So just being far from the distance. So yeah, did you know that, John?
I did know that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Now you do too. If that's right, I might have just made that up.
Whenever you draw this island, there's always a skull.
There is.
Was that actually in the game? Did we have a skull on the island in the game?
Let's have a look. Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm just looking around. Look at these crosshairs.
Yeah.
Look at all the crosshairs.
Oh, crosshairs. Again, the checkpoints there. It came out of the village area, if you have a look here. So the Totem Hokum village area would be there.
All this fun stuff that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, and also how did he get from the caverns to the village area? I think there was talk of in the Totem Hokum level, maybe in the background, the natives carrying him on a kind of wicker kind of stretcher to the village. So yeah, that was kind of.
I don't think that would have worked.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to see that. Yeah, so the scale would be off. But yeah, so that is the Mecha-Madness level, which kind of adds more detail to the cutscene, the deleted cutscene. So yeah,
I think we should have had more Mecha-Bandicoot. I would have been up for a whole Mecha-Bandicoot hub. Yeah, but we didn't.
And I think this would have fitted in maybe just before you teleport to the second dimension, hence why he kind of comes with you later on.
We did. I remember that the plan was Mecha-Bandicoot would. He would be able to mirror all of Crash's moves. So from this view of all the animations, he's got a jump.
He's got a drill.
And there's the drill. Okay, so we've proven my hypothesis. Let's get back to what I was going to say in a minute. He's got his original drill before I said, can we switch it out for a chainsaw just to make my life slightly easier making the boss fight. But yeah, he had Crash's, what do we call it? Belly drop.
Yeah, it did have a name. Yeah.
But that was never used in the game.
Yeah, interesting. Anyway, so yes, there are a few Mecha-Bandicoot kind of mysteries. We hope there's some new information there. We think there is. I
hope you're going to be able to edit that video down to something that's watchable.
Let's find out.
Because Keith, I'd like our subscriber count to go up,
right,
not down.
Okay.
I think
I'll edit some subscribers in for you, John. Yeah.
I think if we keep it up like this, they're going to be going down. Okay. So thank you very much, Crash fans. I've been JMac.
I've been Keith Webb. Again, keep your eyes peeled on this channel for the next, even more exciting video coming very soon.
And don't forget to
crash that like button.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
Meet your brand new, hydraulically operated twin brother, Mecha-Bandicoot. How was I?
Dr. Cortex, you are magnificent.
Of course I was, you fool. Initiate missile attack. What have I got?